Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's DSS break. Thank you for tuning in and being here. We're here live every other week, diving into topics like data science, AI, and machine learning. And our mission is to really engage in insightful conversations and share best practices with prominent data folks during these 15-minute breaks. And I'm Anna Anderson. I'm founder of Data Science Salon, and today I'm connecting with all of you from our headquarters here in Miami, located right next to the Design District. And I'm really excited to have here with me, not just really another local person, Flaviane. And she's actually also here in Miami. So welcome, Flaviane Peccin. She's another local powerhouse, and she's a data science director at Visa. And her journey is quite remarkable. With over a decade of data science under her belt, she's been really instrumental in applying predictive modeling across many diverse industries. And not just under her leadership, Visa Consulting Analytics has developed state-of-the-art models to enhance the whole cardholder life cycle. And I'm sure that all of you guys have a Visa in your wallet. So I have like 5 visas in my wallet. So it's very, it's something that everybody can relate to. And Flaviane is actually working on this behind the scenes to make all this experience better for all of you. Welcome so much. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Anna, for inviting. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's very exciting to be here to discuss more about AI, machine learning, which is our daily basis. But when we have this moment to stop and talk with more people about what we are doing is always motivating for me. So thank you for putting this space for joining the community, and thank you for all the work you are doing here in Miami to bring all data people together. Congratulations for that, Anna.
Thank you so much for being part of our community. I wouldn't be able to do it without all you guys' support. So thank you so much. And let's go ahead and dive in and talk about you, because you have such an wonderful experience and over a decade of experience in data science and your role at Visa. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about how you got into the space and maybe how you've seen it evolve, in like the evolution of AI since you kind of got into this space.
That's great. I like the way you put it, Anna, because now that AI became like a hot topic and everyone is talking about it, for some people it looks like it's new and that we just start doing this. And I've been on that for way over a decade. I won't say almost 2 right now. And when I started, it already existed. So I started in the financial services, working in banks, and we were already more than 20 years ago, people were already using AI in this system. But there is like a huge evolution when we think what was happening 20 years ago and what we are doing right now. So
Right.
I feel like I have the privilege to be part of this evolution. And I know there is a lot to come, but consider the way we start on the way we are working right now is like a lot. We did several years in just one decade or so. We are evolving a lot. So I think one of the good things that we have right now is to be able to use the alternative data in financial system. That's something that we were just using our data before. So for me, a
Yeah.
good evolution is that to be able to use more data that's not exactly just from financial. That was a big change.
Yeah, no, that is very interesting. And I think that's kind of, as you said, it's probably a game changer, right? To even improve everything, right? That you guys have. So, and for those of you who are unfamiliar, could you maybe tell us a little bit about GANs and, and what they are and their unique capabilities for people who are just kind of like, I don't know what this is.
Oh, yes. So GANs stands by Generative Adversarial Networks. It's like a class or a group of machine learning models that it's classified as an unsupervised model. and it's used to generate new tasks. Can be video or an image or a text. So it's basically to generate new things. I don't want to get very technical on that, but it's not just one model. It's like having two competing models, which is one generator, one discriminator, and they are competing against each other. So the idea is to generate data that is very similar to real data. And the discriminator is trying to separate what is fake data or created data from the original one. So that's why those both models are competing, and they evolve and they get better with the time.
Cool. No, that's a great description. Makes a ton of sense. And maybe you could tell us a little bit about how this whole thing is reshaping the financial landscape. Maybe you could give us some examples like that we can from like the everyday use. How is this changing? I mean, it seems like it's making the models better, right? That's the number one thing.
Yeah, it has a lot of uses, but focusing in the financial area, we have some specific problems, for example, in fraud detection. And I'm passionate about fraud detection because the other side is also smart. So we have some data that related to fraud that happened in the past, and those are the data that we use to train our model. But fortunately, that's not too much. So we don't have as much fraud as comparing to the amount of transactions that we have that are not fraud. So this data is very unbalanced. So we can use this kind of models, the GANs model, to create synthetic data and increase, for example, the transactions that are similar to fraud. And based on this data, we can train and develop better models. So this is like a great application for fraud detection. But the same idea can be used, for example, for credit risk. We can simulate, before we already have this kind of simulation, but with GAN, we really could evolve in simulation on how the market is going to behave. So it's like how small changes can impact in the market trends. So with this kind of model, we are able to simulate these trends in the market. So it makes our models more robust, I would say.
Cool. Yeah. And I think fraud detection, that's a problem that is, right. Like we're all, it sounds like you're really passionate about solving. And this is a big thing for that use case, which we can all understand because we all get those notifications about alerts that your phone number was found like somewhere in the dark web, So, so I think, yeah, that's super important. And, you mentioned definitely, fraud detection, credit scoring, and market predictions. Those are all, I feel like, really important use cases for this. And let's talk a little bit about Visa. You guys are a global entity, and how do you guys ensure that data science solutions you develop and, cater to like a global audience, right? Because it's very specific. Like what we do here in the United States is so different than what they do in Europe versus what they do in Asia, right? Like, so how do you really manage that? That's something I was really excited to learn because I feel like that's such a, do you guys have like global teams that work together with local teams? How does this usually work?
Yes, we generally have local teams that stay in each market. We have regional teams that stays, for example, here in Miami, the headquarters is for all Latin America. So we have a regional team here that's for all Latin America, but in each country, they have the local teams. So for the solutions developed, there are solutions that most of the solution, they start in the market because it's a market need. We don't develop a solution just for developing it. So it starts in the market for a market need. It comes from the regional team, so we can communicate with all the markets in the region because the region have similar markets. So probably this solution is useful for other markets as well. And after this, to a global team. And while we are doing this here from Miami, for all the markets in Latin America, there are also people in Europe. There's someone, for example, in Germany that identify something that's necessary for German. They expand to Europe and they communicate it to the global team, and the global team bring to us. So we have these touch points like in regular basis with these global data solution teams that we can align what we are doing in the market level, in regional level, and global level. So this is like a strategy to have these kind of solutions that we can scale and make it global when it's possible. When it's not possible, sometimes it's regional, and sometimes we have a solution that just makes sense for that market.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It sounds super complicated though. Like, yeah, but you guys make it. I'm sure you're using machine learning to make these processes also easier for you all to manage all of this. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then maybe we could talk. This was one of the questions. I know that you were on the panel also during our event, and this was one of the questions that we had, and I really liked it. So I wanted to ask you again about maybe you could share an experience where a diverse team perspective at Visa led to a breakthrough or an improved solution, because I feel like that is like very important for people to know and understand those use cases, like why it's so important to have diversity on your teams.
Yes, I think this is like the main pillar for developing solutions that can be used everywhere. You need to have a diverse team from diverse backgrounds, especially when we are in payments industry. Is different for people that live in a reality which you always have access to some kind of privilege, that you always have money, you have always have your credit cards. When we go to unprivileged areas and you have to think of financial inclusion, a person that never experienced that reality sometimes would not understand. So it's fundamental to have this diverse team. And it happened when I was developing one solution that started in Brazil, and we started expanding for Latin America. For each market that we tried to expand, there was something different from that market, or this kind of data or this kind of information we don't have, until other points saying, look, this is not aligned to our culture or with our regulations. So you need people from different nationalities, from different backgrounds, to bring these kind of diverse perspectives into product development.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing that. That's super important. Yeah, and I think we all need to think about more about that. And I think the last question that I would like to ask you, what are some of your favorite resources, courses, or books that you would recommend for folks specifically in your industry, like the finance folks that are in the finance, doing data practice in finance? Because I feel like it's very specific, probably not. Maybe there's some general, but maybe there's some little things that you found really useful that our community can benefit from. You could share.
Yes, it's also, for me, it's a little bit personal. It depends on your taste, but I always divided when I'm studying, when I'm reading. You learn anyway, but when I'm studying, I like to go to more technical resources. And now we have a lot of things available as like a Coursera or EDX. You can take a lot of trainings there. I use also a lot of trainings that comes from specifically for Visa, that's specific for what I'm doing related to that data. But like when I think of data science, I think there is a lot of things available out there in platforms like Coursera or EDX. And also the Kaggle, there's a lot of information. You don't have to get into a competition. You just, when I have a problem, I go there and I look for a similar problem that people already solve. And I see like the 2 or 3 best techniques to solve that problem, and I can reproduce it. So those are all source for technical things. But when I'm reading, I always like to think on the other way, because when we go with studying and go deeper and deeper, we start to have that narrow vision that I can predict everything and I can solve everything. So we always try to make our models better and we try to predict better. But I like to read things that puts me aware that sometimes there are things that I cannot predict. So one book that I really like is The Black Swan. This book is about like things that are not easy to predict. Mm-hmm. And those like the rare events that nobody predicts or very few people would predict, but it has a massive impact in the society. So we are not predicting those rare models, those rare events with models, but when something like that happens, the impact is very big. So I have this statistical background, so I always like to think of probabilities, and I look for things like that to reading. Another book that I just remember now is one that's called "Fooled by Randomness." This
Yeah, I like that book. That's a
nice.
good book. Yeah, that's a really good book. Yeah, for anybody. I feel like, yeah, you don't have to be in data for that. Right.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's a really nice book. And from the old ones, I would say Free Economics is also a very nice
Oh,
one.
yeah. Yeah, that's like a classic. I feel like I
Mhm.
love that one. Yeah. No, thank you so much for sharing and spending time today with us, Flavian. And it was really great to get to know you better. And we're really excited that you might be talking about the guns at our upcoming conference in New York on December 1st. So we're really excited about that. So if you guys are interested to learn more about this topic, we hope to see you there. And somebody from I think Jasmine is going to share a link with you guys to register for that. It's going to be at S&P Global headquarters. So we're really excited to be back there. It's a very like small, intimate event, and it's a lot of fun. Completely focused on finance. So thanks everybody for joining us today. And yeah, happy Friday and have a great weekend. Bye.
Okay, bye bye.